Question 1554. Oh, can a patient ever truly give informed consent?
Who gave these questions?
Yeah, who did?
Dan.
Various
I
people.
blame Phoebe.
No, I had no hand in these questions.
Jenny.
What?
Can a patient ever truly give informed consent?
Well,
There's a simple answer to this.
it's
Very simple answer.
entirely well.
The
Yes
answer
and
is
no.
yes. The answer is yes.
No.
A patient
How
truly
informed is
can,
informed? How informed is informed?
because you yourself
Fully-
could be the patient that you are doing the procedure on, and you could be the world expert in that procedure, and therefore you are informed as humanly possible on that, because you are both doctor and patient. You are giving informed consent.
Yeah, but that's a one-off. We're talking about a general rule.
But you didn't say that.
It's implied.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Well, yeah.
Nothing is implied
it
on this show.
We're not
It is.
implying that it's...
And then there's the separate issue of implied consent, because there is another issue of implied consent.
It is implied, or it is general.
And then there is
That's why I'm
deemed consent.
that's why I'm having trouble answering it. I mean, some people's idea of informed consent is, knowing whether or not they're going to, hurt afterwards, and other people want to know every detail. So
But this is the point. The issue with this question is informed.
Define the word inform then.
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
As long as they're informed within the
Would you like
demands
me to look at
of
dictionary for you?
an independent patient or individual patient, yes, you can.
So you think that the normal amount that a doctor will tell to a patient will give them enough information
No,
that they can truly make an informed decision?
That's different than can there be informed consent though?
No.
I'm going to argue. I'll give my argument in a minute, but I don't like that description.
When I had my little heart procedure that we just talked about,
Yeah.
the doctor just gave me all of these stupid, generic, you don't know nothing kind of questions. And although I'm certainly not a doctor, I did go through nurses training, and so I know a little bit more about stuff than most people. And I wanted the woman who was with him, who was the physician's assistant, I asked her to stay by afterwards so she could actually tell me what the doctor didn't. And then I felt confident in the procedure and went ahead with it. But not until I actually got the information that the doctor wouldn't give me, because he was, mansplaining and stuff.
Let's see the chat quickly. Sandy says, not really. Ox says, if they're smart enough to understand what's going on, yes. Nerdy says, define consent. Ox says, it all depends upon the doctor's liability cover. Noxum says, if under the influence, then no. If of sound mind with no drugs, then yes. And Deary says, take them to dinner first. Sandy says,
Also, define patient.
Well, I guess I keep wanting to jump in. I feel like my view is being held till the end.
Define patient.
No. You're next, but just let me finish the chat here. Nerdy says, if something is implied, then Dave will clarify. Yes. I think it depends how ill the patient is, says Black Sofa. That's the problem. The patient being ill and how the patient being desperate.
That's a different issue. That's a different issue entirely.
You have deemed consent.
Let me go into this. So there's a couple things in play here. So I will agree with Jenny on a lot of that, in that a lot of doctors are shit communicators, and that's why I'm on YouTube now, is because I think people in general do have the ability to understand the medicine behind it. Like, the medicine itself is not super complicated a lot of the time. Just doctors will assume that the patient cannot understand, and so they just won't go into any detail on it. I think if you can have a conversation and you actually put into words in a way that people understand it, what is going on, the majority of the public will be able to make a good informed decision about their medical care. They can understand what it means to have complications. They can understand a lot of that, as long as it's communicated well by somebody who's not hiding information and actually believes in their patient's ability to understand. There is, on the flip side, something called implied consent. And this is when, in emergency medicine, we apply this to people, especially under the age of 18, or anybody who is incapacitated in a way where they cannot reasonably make a decision on their own. Like if someone's in a coma, it is implied that you're going to do whatever procedure is necessary for them to have the utmost well-being. So that's a case where it would no longer fall under informed consent. It would be implied. No. But for everybody else, absolutely, I think there is a way to have good informed consent. We are just doing a very poor job about it right now.
There's also the other flip side when you get to the legal realms of it. So from a social worker's point of view, there is also deemed consent, because if somebody has been taken into the care of the state, then it is deemed that you have the consent that you need to do whatever you want, which is in the best interest of that person. So you also have the deemed consent when that person is taken into care.
Yes, that's a good point too. There's my soapbox. I hope I didn't bore anybody.
No. It pretty much covered it.
Let's make soap.
Let's make soap. Mark says,
and boxes.
Mark says, which is interesting, it is incumbent upon the patient to become as informed about the procedure as possible.
That is only as good as the intellectual capacity that the patient has and the mental capacity the patient has.
Informed consent does not always mean enthusiastic consent, not when it comes to medical procedures. Sandy says, well, yeah, those doctors may kiss my ass on the way out the door every time because I can't understand. They want my questions answered by someone saying, don't worry about it. No, that's the problem. They've got scared. No.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of doctors just don't know how to communicate or refuse to communicate.
Or don't want to.
Or refuse.
There's an awful lot of
they're lazy, some doctors are. I mean, some doctors are lazy, and some doctors are wonderful and empathetic human beings.
And that's something that, like, because granted, someone in my shoes, we understand what is likely to happen, what is not likely to happen. And so, sure, I can get in my head that a risk is very unlikely. However, somebody who hasn't been to medical school, I can't expect them to just know off the top of their head statistics of likelihood of things. And I think it's such a shame and it's such a problem that doctors are writing off people's anxiety and writing off people's concerns because they're real concerns. Like, it's not somebody being unreasonable. It is somebody having a legitimate concern about their own well-being or about a loved one's well-being. And it's so frustrating that doctors think it's okay to just like write people off on something when they can just take a few extra minutes and be empathetic and actually build rapport with a person and understand where they're coming from. That's something that's missing from medicine, and I want to bring that.
Manda. Gone. Jeff.
I'm here.
Go on.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with what Ben said, for the most part. But yes, I guess not always. I don't know how to explain myself here. I'm not informed enough, but I'll just go with what Ben said and say I'll be there.
Jeff? Not there. Anything else?
That was a good question.
Yeah, got it. Okay. I'm not really. I'm. Who am I to shame anyone? You know. So. Yeah.
You cut out. You cut out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So. I suppose so.
You suppose so. Fair enough. Sandy, there can be a lot of arrogant arseholes, surgeons especially.
Yeah.
Noxum agreed. A patient has a right to know medical professionals are required to answer their questions. There's a problem there. That an awful lot of people. The problem is, I would say that I don't think is here is. I think a lot of people don't want to know. They can't.
But you still have the right to know.
Yes, this is the problem, right? And the problem is I've never met a doctor that can pitch at both. They either work one way or work the other way. Okay, and this is the worst thing is I fit in the middle, and because it drives me nuts. Okay, because I tend to research things before I go into it, so I have some knowledge, but I don't know everything. But if you go in at the moment with doctors that I've dealt with, the fact that you know something, they pretty much that's it. You know what you're doing. You understand it all, and and clearly I don't. And so repeatedly I've run into it where I am more often than not I will shut up that I know anything to actually get them to get them to try and put it across their way. So I tend to run into that, but I've also run into ones that lots of people that just want to be told the basic stat and then it'll be okay. And that's it. And don't get me wrong, those people drive me nuts. But I think you have to pitch it at the way the person is, and that's what I don't think doctors tend to do.
I would absolutely agree with that. Thank you for your input on that.
But that's me. If you enjoyed that, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. If you think you've got a better answer or just want to tell us how wrong we are, leave a comment down below. Subscribe down here for new questions every day and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on our live shows. If you click over here, you'll see our latest upload. Over here, for what YouTube thinks you'll love the most. And finally, for a complete playlist of all our currently released questions, click here.